Perimeter and Area by Abigail Park. So in this lesson we are going to be learning the concept of perimeter and area. Knowing perimeter and area in math is very important because it is able to give you a better understanding of the various dimensions of certain shapes. Although it may seem straightforward, the idea of perimeter and area is very broad simply because there are many different ways to find out the perimeter and area, especially the area, as different shapes have different conditions. Now for this lesson, we will be looking at the two more common fundamental shapes, which would be the rectangle, square, and triangle. Now I'm just using these shapes simply because they are shapes that most people are comfortable with and for diversity, as a triangle is different from the common four-sided rectangle and square. Let's start off with a rectangle to find its perimeter and area. Now as you can see right here, it is a triangle and the length of each side is given right here. Do you notice anything interesting about the length of each side of this rectangle? Take a second and pause this video if you want to figure it out. But for the sake of solving the problem, I will tell you right now. This rectangle has two sides, here and here, that are equal to each other, just like these two sides right here. The result I'm trying to get at is that the condition about rectangles is that the two opposite sides of a rectangle that are parallel to each other are equal to each other. When trying to ever find out the length of any side of this kind of shape, please keep that in mind. Anyways, that was just an interesting to know. What I wanted to get at with this rectangle is finding out the perimeter and area. Well, the lengths of all the sides are given, so it's quite simple really. Perimeter is the distance around a shape, and area is the amount of space taken up inside of a shape. Or to better understand this, let me refer to 1x1 squares. When a problem asks for area, it's generally asking how many of these 1x1 squares can fit into the shape. Now that we've learned what these terms mean, let's apply them. To find the perimeter of this rectangle, you need to find the sum of all the sides. You see, perimeter is finding the distance around a shape. So by adding up all the sides of a shape, you can find the perimeter to anything. So let's take all the sides and add them up. That would look like this right here. And the perimeter would then equal 22. The perimeter of this rectangle is 22 square units. Most of the times, there will be a measuring unit for shapes, but as of now, we will just focus on finding the perimeter and area. Now let's find the area. Area, like I said before, is about how many 1x1 squares can fit into a shape. Now, well, let's try to better visualize by looking at this drawing right here. Usually the same rectangle has been drawn to contain 1x1 squares. As you can see, there are 7 rows and 4 columns. You can count all these squares one by one, but an easy way to find out the area would be to multiply the length times the height of the triangle. Oh, I'm sorry, the rectangle. Doing so would give you this. So our area would be 28 square units. Now let's move on to the special idea of squares. This isn't really a specific kind of problem that I can walk you through, but it is able to give you the general idea of how to find the perimeter and area of a square. The special condition of a square is that all of its sides are congruent and equal to each other. So the general idea of a square would be that when finding the perimeter, you can add up 4 sides with the same length when finding the area. You can multiply the same number up to itself, which means that you're squaring the number, in other words. So let's call this unknown side x. When finding the perimeter, we can just add up all 4 sides, so it would look like this right here. And that would simplify to 4x. So that is the way to find the perimeter of any square. Finding the area of a square would just be multiplying the same length to itself. So it would look like this. Now, let's move on to triangles. Triangles are different from squares and rectangles. For one, they have 3 sides instead of 4, and the whole idea of just multiplying or adding side lengths is different. Perimeter is the same, as you must add the length of each side. However, triangles are not like other shapes, so the way to find the area is different. What do you notice about a triangle? Well, it has 3 sides, and if you end up creating 2 of the same triangle and putting them together, they end up creating a specific type of parallelogram, depending on their measurements. This is an important idea when it comes to understanding the area formula for a triangle. Take a look at this drawing to the right. In this picture, the 2 triangles have been put together. If you multiplied just base and height, then you would get the area of that shape, not the triangle itself. If you just multiply a triangle's base and height, then that gives you the area of a parallelogram with those dimensions. However, you need to find the triangle's area. So you must divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2 to get the final and correct answer. Now, let's try it right now. The triangle has a base of 3 and a height of 5. So let's use the area formula, which is 1/2 base times height of a triangle to figure this out. The equation would look like this. 1/2 times 3 times 5, which simplifies to 3 over 2 times 5, which then becomes 15 over 2. So the area of the triangle will be 15 over 2. The end. Well, I hope you were able to learn a lot about how to find the perimeter and area of different shapes. See you next time.